So, as we're getting ready for the football season, I want to go through three things that you can learn from my mistakes from my last Team Canada training camp. So, first thing is more is not better. So, I was in the ice house maybe a total of 4 times over the course of 3 weeks before this training camp started. And during the training camp, I was in the ice house 4 times out of 6 days. And that was leading up to the competition with only 1 day off. So this is not ideal and something I always tell my athletes to be smarter about, but I was dumb and didn't listen to myself. So I didn't perform where I wanted to perform. So as you guys are getting ready for the season and you've been used to off-season training, so you're doing a lot of volume, and now you're heading into the season where it's going to be a lot more on-field stuff, so you need to dial things back outside of football. So take the first week or two to just recover and figure out where you're at. So I learned my lesson about too much and more is not better, because by the time the competition rolled around, my hamstrings were fried. During my warm-up, they felt super tight, and if I had done any more than the 2 pushes that I did, it may have caused injury. Luckily, I was smarter than I normally am, and I decided just to cap it at 2 instead of doing the 3 or 4 that we could have done. So this is a warning for you guys as you guys are heading into the season. Be smart, and if you're feeling something, shut it down early so that you can save it for the next day. Okay? Number 2, trust the process. So I've been working on specific things to help fix old injuries and work on mechanics to improve my push and get faster. I spent the past year working on some of this stuff and I wasn't seeing any results. During the camp, things finally started to fall into place and I was able to make more progress on things I've been struggling with for so long. And it just goes to show that you need to trust the process. Okay? It takes time to see results. So the rehab process has also been going pretty well. My Achilles is getting better. I've had Achilles issues for the past 2 years. So now we're starting to get in a place where it's not limiting me anymore and I can actually train completely, unlike I haven't been able to do that in the past couple years. So the big thing to learn from this is that you need to have faith that the work you're putting in is going to pay off. So a lot of times athletes want that quick result and you get frustrated when you don't see it. I'm the same way. I've had that happen to me. I expect results faster than they happen. But change takes time, and depending on what you're working on, it can take a long time. So getting faster, which is what I was working on, which is what a lot of you guys are working on, it doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistent and deliberate practice. Okay? So that means that you need to be doing it all the time and you need to be focused on what you're trying to improve. And with speed stuff, you're focusing on, or you're working on coordination and tendon stiffness, which takes time to adapt. So coordination is patterns that you've developed over your lifetime. If you're trying to change that and have spent 3 months working on that, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. Tendon stiffness can take 6 to 9 months to build compared to something like strength. So you're going to see slower results when you're working on speed. What you need to do is trust that the work you're putting in is going to pay off and that you're going to be ready when the time comes to perform. So when the season starts and you've been putting all this work in, you're going to be ready to go. And then the third thing is that failure is a part of sport. So I ended up finishing 6th overall in the competition. I lost to some people that I shouldn't have lost to. But instead of feeling defeated and getting angry and sad and depressed, I'm using it as motivation to keep improving and to get back working and work harder and smarter to help get better. So what you can learn from this is that things aren't always going to go your way. In fact, failure is going to happen consistently in sport. I'm going to use baseball as an example. A baseball player who hits 400 is a top tier Hall of Famer, which means he gets out 6 out of 10 at bats. He's only successful 40% of the time. But that's a Hall of Fame. That's a top tier Hall of Fame baseball player. Going into football, Patrick Mahomes had a completion percentage of 67.7% last season. That means that every third pass was incomplete. Okay? You need to realize that mistakes are going to happen. You're going to fail from time to time. That's part of sport. If you can figure that out and how to bounce back from that, you're going to be ahead of a lot of athletes. And just because you fail or you make a mistake doesn't mean that you need to quit. So the best athletes fail over and over again. But the key is not failing. The key is learning from that failure to make yourself better. Quote from Michael Jordan, "I failed over and over again, and that is why I succeed." So it's putting yourself in tough positions, in practice, in training, seeing that failure. And then when it comes to the competition, when it comes to game time, you've seen the failure, you've adapted, you're ready to perform. So hopefully you can take those 3 lessons and learn from my mistakes and use them to help you this season.